Franklin's.
Well, it's a great, you know, we lived in an area where history is goes back a long way.
Oh,
in Sumner
yeah.
County, and it's something that, that I've always enjoyed reading about and talking about it, and because it's
Well, Tennessee's got a lot of history.
no question about it. And Sumner County is, of course, people, you know, it was actually settled from southern Kentucky down. You know, from people came down from around Adolphus, Kentucky, and all through that era coming into this part of Tennessee, and back in the early 1800s, they talk about how populated this area was. You know, and then I think around 1849, they weren't able to take care of the farms like they should have, and all this type of thing, and production got bad, and so a lot of the people actually left. They went to Texas, they went to California, and from what I've read, back in the early 1800s, that Sumner County had a population of about 50,000 people. You know, and all the places of north of us here and east, you know, Castellan Springs and Kansas and Bethpage and Sideview, and all these communities had probably an average of 2,000 or 2,500 people that lived in them back in the early 1800s, and making it a very, you know, prosperous area. And then sometime before the Civil War, like I said, they started leaving, and populations fell, and of course Gallatin was probably the largest city in the county. With, I imagine it probably had a population of around 3,000, 34,000 people, because I know when we first moved here in 1948, I think it was like 5,000 people in the city of Gallatin at that time.
Well, I've spent a lot of time here when I was a kid, and I enjoyed it all. And I grew up. We didn't have any money much in those days, and
well, nobody had a lot of money in those days.
I remember I used to fight the honeybees in front of the courthouse chair. When I sold watermelons, I was about 13, 14 years old, and that it was nothing but honeybees all over the place, and you didn't make any money by selling them. You only got 10 cents for a watermelon or a cantaloupe, and it costs more. I guess the seed costs roughly that much today.
Well, it's unbelievable how things have changed, and you know, you certainly like to think everything's changed for the better. I mean, we got
right.
With technology being what it is today, and the fact that it's amazing the things that we've seen in our lifetime, and how it's just totally unbelievable that we've seen people from having to travel by horseback to the way we go today, and trying to learn to use. I have trouble turning my TV on because I can't. You know, I'm not very good at the computers and this type of thing. But there's so many and so many memories. And,
that's right, and there's a lot of them is kind of hard to take, and then there's so many good ones.
So many good ones, no question about that.
That's what's nice about it all.
And of course, my feelings are that it's been, you know, everything's been really good for me, and having the support of my parents and grandparents, and there's so many families that I can go back and remember from just my grandmother was a Gillum, and that was a huge family, and a lot of the Gillums have moved into the Portland area, and the Darcys and the Morrises and the Helsons, and just on and on and on of all the people and all the family connections that you have, you know, through through the times. But there's so many things you could talk about,
Yeah.
and so much history. They talked about the fellow talking about Perkins Drugstore over here. Well, my dad actually ended up buying the old, not Perkins, but Duncan Drugstore, and he moved it across the street over here. And I know that they had some beautiful old cabinets and things in that Duncan Drugstore. And I now have one of them I've rebuilt, and it's in my home, you know, and that type of. But it's very interesting to see the changes that we've made and how much has been done to the square, and to remember how it was, you know, 40 and 50, 60 years ago. And of course, Saturday afternoons in Gallatin was always a big time. You know,
Yeah.
you would have just, I would thought that was the biggest place I'd ever seen. You know?
I used to, when I was a kid, I used to like to go to the Bugley Implement Company.
Bugley Implement Company.
Yeah. A matter of fact, I still have a rifle today that I bought 1935. I bought it for $5 and a quarter, and I still got it.
Still got that
You
right.
know, that it's one of the things that I enjoy doing when I was a kid is hunting and squirrel hunting and enjoy life, and so
Well,
that's the way it
my
was in
connections
those
with Gallatin
days.
Bug and Implement Company, I knew Mr. Bob Ramsey, and he was an old Tennessee football player. He played in from like 1935 to 38 under General Neyland, and he came back to Gallatin, and his father apparently owned the Gallatin Bug and Implement, and he ended up being the owner and manager of the old store. And one Christmas, when I was in college, I worked there.
Oh, is that
And it's
right?
really amazing how much I didn't know about the stuff that he had. But if it had something to do with farm equipment or something like that, I promise you, they had it at the Gallatin Bug and Implement Company. And of course, one of my favorite stores is I got an athletic scholarship to the university, and they sent it over and to Bob Ramsey, and that's where I went and signed my scholarship there at Gallatin Bug and Implement Company.
Blues Jewelry Store used to be the big thing when I was a kid here and grew up. Everybody went to Blues Jewelry Store, had any like watches or whatever to buy. Matter of fact, when I got married, I bought all the sterling silver at Blues Jewelry Store. When I got married, give it to my wife for a wedding present.
Yeah, it was a good store. I remember going in it many times. And
I remember Mr. Blue used to tell me that he used to ride an oxen from his house. He lived out here on North Water, and he used to ride the oxen to the store when him and his father had it, or I'm not sure it was his father, maybe it was his uncle. I don't remember that far back. But he used to say, "Well, Guy, I rode an oxen from my house to here." Isn't that something?
that's something. I remember my grandfather telling me about how he rode a bicycle from Westmoreland to Gallatin when he was a young kid. And,
That was dirt road in those
dirt
days.
roads and that type of thing. That's the way he traveled. So it's been so many tales and so many memories, and
Some good ones too.
good ones. And,
Yes, sir. And some bad ones too. Yeah.
well, I can't say I've had that many bad ones, but
I remember the first time I ever had ice cream. Standing on the corner of the courthouse, on the corner of the 5 and 10 cent store on the opposite side of the square here right now. And yeah, it was, you got a double dip